good evening and happy Friday. And at the end of this Friday, we are presenting this webinar on DevSecOps with Sitecore. My name is Surendra Sharma, along with me, Aparna Tyagi, and we are presenting this webinar today, which is organized by Sitecore User Group Bangalore. So thank you for that. Before starting anything, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Surendra Sharma. I'm Sitecore Technology MP. I'm also Associate Director in Nagaro. Overall, I have 17 plus year of experience in Microsoft technology. And with Sitecore, I'm working from last more than 10 years. I'm a speaker in Sitecore User Conference India and parts of lots of Sitecore User Group. I have multiple Sitecore certifications. I'm Microsoft certified, MongoDB certified. Till now, I have implemented more than 15 plus projects on the Sitecore side. I'm running a blog website where I have published more than 200 blog articles. I'm author of 8 ebooks on Sitecore as well. And I have developed 5 reusable modules available on Sitecore Marketplace, but this Marketplace website is now down by the Sitecore. Yeah, Aparna, can you introduce yourself as well?
Yes, thanks, Surendra. Hi, everyone. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to present this topic here. So, my name is Aparna. I'm working in Nagaro along with Surendra. So, I'm a DevOps specialist in Nagaro, and I have 5+ year of experience working in DevOps domain, working on different tools and technologies. So I have expertise in building CI/CD pipelines across various technologies, like maybe it's Java, React as well. And I'm working around Sitecore from past 2+ years. So I have gotten pretty good experience around the operations involved in the Sitecore provisioning, the deployments of Sitecore, build and deployments for security of Sitecore. So I got pretty good experience around Sitecore, and usually I have worked on the Azure cloud, but I have experience on other cloud as well. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you, Aparna. So this is the agenda for today's webinar. So we'll start with see about what are the different kind of infrastructure available in today's market, and where exactly Sitecore stand with this infrastructure. What exactly is the composable, and we'll start the Sitecore side. So today's webinar mostly focusing on the Azure PaaS, because they're what most of the clients are moving in today's world. Then we'll see what exactly the Azure DevOps. We'll see the CI/CD pipeline, how to do that, and how you can serialize the Sitecore items to this environment by using these pipelines. We'll also see how you can take care of the disaster recovery, how you can use the database backup, how to do the monitoring, and what are the different feature trends within the DevOps side. So we have lots of different technologies available in the market today. I am working with the information technology area from last 17 years, but still, if you ask me that there are this X kind of technology, and maybe I will give you the answer that I am hearing it for the first time. So because of all these different technology exist in the market, so if any new fresher will come to you or any college pass out will come to you, and if he asks one question to you that which area should I go, where I should develop my career if I want to move it into the IT sector. So it's a very difficult question. So at that time, you have to see where the market is going on, what's the current trend in the market right now. So DevOps is very booming area, and it's a very hot cake technology nowadays. It's a mixed kind of technology. There is no one single technology that exists here. It's a group of multiple technology, but DevOps market is very good. So for example, right now we are in the 2024, and right now the market size of this DevOps is more than $13 billion, and every year it's grow by 20%. Even the AI is coming to the picture, but still you can see here the future trends. Every year it's going by the more than 20% is growth rate here, until 2032 the market will be more than $50 million, and $50 million is not even the GDP of many countries in the world right now. So see the market, and then we can see what's the important of DevOps in the today's world right now. So if you see from the infrastructure side, we have the multiple infrastructure available where you can install the Sitecore, where you can use, where you can host your the end product. For example, in old days we are using the on-premises where everything as a developer we have to do. So for example, you will get one VM. Now within that VM, our IT team will provide the networking support. They will create the storage. They will configure this server. Mostly for the Sitecore, from the Sitecore side technology, we need the Windows operating system, so they will install it. And on the top of that, we have to install the .NET framework runtime, and then you can keep your Sitecore stuff here. So on the on-premises side, everything we have to do. If you are going for the infrastructure, as I said, for example, you can go to the different cloud vendors, and then they offering this infrastructure as a service where they are going to provide you the online VMs. On these VMs, now it's your choice which operating system you want, and then you can install your .NET framework and Sitecore. You can keep it here. Nowadays, people are moving from this infrastructure as a service side as well. They are going to the PaaS environment, and on this PaaS environment, till runtime, for example, uh, you'll get you'll get the .NET based framework here. Everything is available here. On the top of that, you just need to keep your Sitecore stuff, Sitecore related files, and then you can use the Sitecore on this PaaS environment. And similarly, we have the SaaS, the way we are accessing our Microsoft Office 365 or the Gmail. In the same way, you can use the software as a service. You just need to log in it here, and you will get your entire product. You can access it from anywhere in the world by the any kind of devices, and you can access your end product here. So we have the multiple platforms, and on each platform, if you want to host your website, then you need to automate it. And for that automation, we need the DevOps. On the software as a service side, the job of the DevOps is not that much. They don't have much need to do here. But if you go on any of these three platforms, this three platform, on premises, infrastructure, platform as a service, then it's a very DevOps activities are very high here, especially for that platform as a service, because this is in the picture, and this is nowadays in a trend right now. So more and more Sitecore clients are moving this platform right now. If we see the different line on the Sitecore side, so we have the PaaS platform where you can use where you can install XM, you can use the XP. There is a experience commerce as well, but now this is outdated. Sitecore even don't recommend the commerce product or any new e-commerce based website right now. So Sitecore is moving to the SaaS platform. SaaS platform, they have the multiple product. They have the multiple product on the content side. For example, they have the XM Cloud. They have the Content Hub One, the Content Hub DEM. Similarly, for the engagement cloud side, they have the Musen, they have the CDP, and on the commerce side, they have the product discovery, where you can use it to search your product, and you have the order cloud as well. So if we talk about this one, the PaaS side, the that are related with the DevOps are more and more. Now, if we see the composable architecture, then we have the three, you can say three verticals here. The first one is the content side. So if you want to develop any website, then you need one content based system. And for that, generally, most of the time, we are choosing the Sitecore here. Then you need to choose a one front-end technology. So you can use Next.js or Vue.js or React or Angular. If you don't like the JavaScript-based framework, you can use the .NET based technology, where you can write your code into the C#. So .NET Core is also there. And for the CI/CD or for the hosting, then we have the multiple option. For example, Vercel and Azure. As Sitecore is the .NET based technology, so most of the time we are using the Azure as our uh, choice of platform for the hosting purpose. So these are the mix of the technology. You have to choose one of the choice of technology which fit into the client requirement, and then we have to develop our entire product line here. Now, if we go to the Azure side, then on the side, Azure offer a very good product for the entire product management. So this is called the Azure DevOps. Its old name is VSTS. You can say Visual Studio Team Services, and it's a bundle of services that it's provide. So, for example, it provide the code where you can do your entire planning. You can create your epics. You can write your user story, bugs, you can lock your task here, and then you can track it through this as a board. So this is very helpful for your product manager and for the Scrum Master, and even for the client as well, where they can see how they are progressing into the project development. Then we have the Azure pipeline. So here you can create your CI/CD pipeline. So you can you can deploy your the code that you have developed. You have the Azure repo where you can keep your all the code that you have developed. You can keep your files. We have the Azure test plans where you can write a plan, and whenever you push your code, it will automatically that code will be automatically tested against the plan that you have write it out here. You can keep the Azure artifacts, so you can keep your the package, for example, npm packages or the any files or any DLL that you have developed, so that you need to go onto the public websites to refer it, because their version can be changed, or let's suppose those npm packages website are down at that moment of time when you are building it. At that time, your build will also fail. So instead of depending on the external world for the file references, you can keep the files, the Azure artifact, and then you can keep. So you can see here you have multiple services here to work with your DevOps activities. Now, if we talk about the Sitecore, and if you want to deploy your Sitecore, if you want to deploy your Sitecore instances, if you want to release anything onto this Sitecore site, then what you need? So you need three things. One, we need the environment, files, and items. To the environment, we need the infrastructure. You need the physical server or the VM where infrastructure is available, where you can install the some services. So what is the services? In the services, your SQL server, you can services, you can keep your maybe Solar services here. Configuration, you can configure file machine.config files, or the network configuration, you can do it here. So it will uh, your infrastructure is going to be part of this environment. Then on the file side, you will get a different kind of configuration file according to your environment. For example, if it's a Windows operating system, you have to you will get an environment related with Windows specific, and then you have to configure your files here. For example, you can get your connection.string, then you have to change it according to your environment and their locations. Similarly, you will get the platform files. For example, you will get the Sitecore specific DLLs. You will get the pre-built web.config files. You will get the app config files that are available with that Sitecore version that you are installing. The implementation file exists, the CSS, JavaScripts, the views, the specific DLL that you have created as a part of your solution, that comes into this implementation file section. Within this definition item, here you have created maybe some templates, fields, some placeholder you have created, layout files. So those things will go into this definition item. And then we have our content items, where you are providing the actual content to your website that you want to show to the external world. So I need these specific details if you want to host your Sitecore environment on some specific machine. Now, if we in today's world, we are moving to the headless side. We are focusing more and more onto the headless architecture. The concept here is very simple. So our content is reside into a CMS. For example, in our case, it's a Sitecore where we are creating and managing our different Sitecore items, which is actually stored it into the SQL server here. And then we have client. For example, we have a client that you are accessing it from your browser. So the client application can be developed into React or Next.js or Angular. So whenever you are trying to access any page, for example, you are trying to access about us page or a home page of a particular website. So this request will go to the Sitecore side, and then there you have your API. So these are called the layout API. So whenever these will receive this request, they see that, okay, what client want it. So whether they want the home page or they want the about us page. So what this API will do, it will go to your the SQL databases and fetch the exact data for that page, for example, for home or about us. And then this API convert that data into the JSON format here. And this JSON format is going to be passed it to your next.js or React site, and then this JSON data will mix it with your HTML, with your CSS. Finally, it's going to be rendered it on the browsers. So this is the entire flow of the headless, and people are more and more moving to this headless because there are multiple advantages that you will get it for the headless applications. You can scale up it anytime, and it can be run it on the multiple devices, and it's very flexible architecture. The other advantage here that the separation of concern, you are separating your content with your actual front end technology. So on the CMS side, your Sitecore developer can work, your front end team can directly work with your next.js and React application. Now, whenever we are implementing, whenever we are hosting Sitecore, there are some side technology that also we need it, or you can say some prerequisite technology also we need, and one of them is the Solar. So Solar is an open technology which is generally used as a search provider. So if you're installing Solar on a particular VM only, then the instance may be filled because of XYZ reasons, and some even we predict as well whether the Solar is running or not on that VM. So it's very unpredictable instance if you are installing it on a one VM and you are just running a single instance of Solar. So that's why we are generally using Solar Cloud, where we are using the Solar with Zookeeper. So the idea here is that there are multiple instances that should be run and all should be in sync. So even if, let's suppose, this Solar is down, we have the other Solar instances where the same data is there, the indexing is already there. So you can query your data from your Sitecore website to the Zookeeper. Zookeeper will pass it to the any available Solar instances that are running here, and it will give you the search result here. So Solar is also one of the essential component while you are set up your Sitecore environment. Now, how we can set up the Sitecore on the SaaS platform, and how the DevOps can be helpful here. So Aparna, yeah, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Surendra. Okay, so now we are here to discuss how to set up Sitecore on the Azure as a PaaS setup. So for the PaaS, we are choosing Azure services for setting up the Sitecore. So basically, Sitecore provide Azure templates to provision the Sitecore on the Azure. So we have separate topologies present for Sitecore, like Sitecore say XM single, in which CM and CD run on as a single app service, as a single instance. And if we go for the XM scale, then we have different instances for CM and CD. So Sitecore provide Azure templates for every topology that is present. Maybe it's XM single, XM scaled, XP or XP. So there is a dedicated GitHub repository on the link which has been shared in this PPT as well. You can go through that repository and you can find the Azure templates for every topology, and with respect to every version of Sitecore, maybe 10.3 or 10.2. So if you go to that repository, so you can find those templates, and these are the templates which can be customized according to requirements. Like they are the simple vanilla templates which provision your resources like your app services, Redis instance, SQL Server, but they are all in the public network. So maybe there are some requirements from the client in which they want everything to be in private network. So you can customize those templates according to the requirements you get from the client, and you can also customize the nomenclature of the resources name according to the nomenclature that the specific client follows. So these templates can be customized, and you can do that on your own. So for this, a detailed documentation is present on the Sitecore site, for which the link has been shared in this PPT as well. If you go to this link, you can find a step-by-step guide for installing the Sitecore on the Azure PaaS. So there is a dedicated Sitecore Azure toolkit, which is also a product of Sitecore, which in which they have defined customized commands. If by parameterizing them, you can create your Sitecore instance of your own on the Azure PaaS as Azure PaaS. So if you go through the physical architecture, there is an example of headless solution. So you can see, if we talk about the uh, uh, XM this is an example of XP topology. So you can see here the different app services like CD, CM, then we have XDB, then we have a node service, which is a node which is a separate app which renders the content from the Sitecore, and it act as a headless solution here. And you can also see the log analytics, which help in collecting the log from the application inside, which is configured with every app service, and collect logs from the app service. So you can monitor your infrastructure, like how the memory is consuming, how the CPU's consumption of CPU, like the major metrics which you have to monitor over the time to see your application performance can be monitored here using the application insights. Also, your cache is also configured with the uh, uh, Node.js or instance to cache the calls, so that there will be uh, less load on the server directly, and the Azure caching mechanism can help in requesting the in rendering the request faster. So also we are using here SQL Server for the several databases with Sitecore use, like WebDB, MasterDB, FormDB, and uh, various DB which Sitecore use according to the topology we are following. So this is a typical example of one of the Sitecore XP topology, which has these all Azure resources. Can you move to the next slide? Okay. So now we talk about the build, release, and deploy flow. So here we are using Azure Pipeline as the CI/CD, which we are using to build and deploy the Sitecore solution and our headless solution as well. So pipelines are an easy way to deploy your code to the different environments. So the CI is a part in which we just whenever the developer commits any code in a particular branch, so an automatic build happens, and it create the builds, and it's like if everything is in the code is running fine. So um, it is an automatic job which you can configure according to the branch. Like for example, we use develop branch. As soon as a commit happened on the develop branch, uh, uh, we scheduled an automatic trigger which creates a build, and the build job create the artifacts, which is stored as file and binaries, which can be further shared with the CD pipeline, which is the part of the deployment. So these artifacts are then passed to the CD pipeline, which further deploy them onto the various environment on which they are configured. Like we have various environment, dev, UAT, stage, prod. So these artifacts are shared there as a binaries. So this is a regular like generalized flow of CI/CD, like how CI/CD works. So next slide, Surendra. Yeah, so here we can explain how we have designed CI/CD pipeline for Sitecore and front end. So if I talk about the CI continuous integration, so you can add several steps, keeping in mind the security perspective. Like if you see the first point, git leaks will be the first step in CI pipeline to check any credential leak in the code. So it is a very good step to add this in your pipeline. So may by mistake, if anyone has passed any credentials in the code which is a major threat to the security, so it can be detected very early in the development cycle, and it can be uh, uh, then it can be moved to a secure practice soon. So it is a very good step to add this CI pipeline. Then we have a sonar cube, which is used as for your code quality analysis, which is again a very important step for keeping the quality of your code in check. So without the code quality gate check pass, the PR will cannot be merged. So you can add a check in your pipeline, like whenever some developer raises a PR, so a sonar cube check uh, will automatically trigger, and if the gate quality is not passed, then the PR will not be merged. So by doing this, the code quality can be maintained in your entire development cycle. So it's again a very major step. Then JFrog or maybe the Azure artifacts can be used as a code package manager for the internal and external uh, repository for managing your code, like for NuGet, for your NuGet packages in Sitecore build, or if you are using Node.js and React for your npm modules, can be used, can be stored in the JFrog or artifact Azure artifacts, which can be maintained there. Uh, then for uh, MS Build is used as a build build tool for the building your Sitecore code, and .NET is npm is used for building your npm code. And these after the build, the package the code will be packaged in Azure artifacts. And for .NET code, if if you are using it as a containerized if you are uh, package it as a container, then a Docker image will be pushed to the Azure container registry, which can be fetched from there for deploying the code further on the different environments. So one other step which is not present here, but we can add, is to add the uh, there is a tool used for scanning your Docker images as well. I'm not able to recall that tool, but uh, I guess it's Trevi. Trevi can be used for scanning your Docker images, so it can be added in your pipeline as well, so that any vulnerabilities found in your Docker images can be also find out in the early stages. So this is how generalized pipeline can be uh, designed for your CI for Sitecore and the front end application. Next slide, Surendra. Yeah, and if I talk about the continuous CD pipeline, then the package, the Azure artifacts we have created in the CI pipeline, then we deploy to the Sitecore CD and CM separately. So it can be designed like a way for dev environment. As soon as there is a build created against the develop branch, the build can be deployed automatically. There can be, you can configure an automatic trigger for the development environment. And further, for the higher environment, the approvals can be configured on the environment. Like without approval, the build cannot be deployed on the test environment and on further UAT environment. So all this also, the lighthouse test can be run in the test stage, which can give a report of performance of your site. So it gives very important metrics which can help developers and the other members to improve the performance of your site on the early stages as well. And OWASP test can also be integrated. OWASP is a for OWASP test, there is a tool called Zeproxy, which can be integrated with your pipelines, so that it can give a it can scan your site if against the any vulnerabilities, and it can give a report against your site for any vulnerabilities it find on your site, which can be then fixed accordingly. So these are the good steps we can take for the performance and the vulnerability checks on your site. Next slide, Surendra. Yes, so this is a whole picture of how the CI and CD work together. So if you can see, like from the development part, developer commits do their code in Visual Studio Code, and committed it to the Azure DevOps. Then CI, according to the CI trigger, configured to a particular branch, the Azure CI pipeline is run, and all the steps like git leak, sonar cube, build, packaging of artifacts, all the steps are performed here in the CI pipeline. And as soon as CI pipeline is done, then we go to the CD pipeline, in which we have different environments configured: dev, QA, UAT, pre-prod, and prod. So all these environment have higher environments have approval, uh, which will need to deploy any code on these environment. Further, for prod, we can create a blue-green deployment, which is again a strategy for the zero downtime. So in blue-green deployment, what we will do is we create a different slots for the app services. Like there is a functionality which Azure App Service provide, in which you can create a separate slot in app service, in which you can deploy your code, and if it is running fine, then you can swap those slot with the live site, and then your live site will become blue, and the like it's a analogy, like one slot is blue and one is green, then when we can swap them, and the so that there is zero downtime. So it's a downtime strategy used by the clients which cannot afford any downtime. So it can be implemented using Azure App Services. Okay, so this is a pictorial representation of how Sitecore CD work. So there is a stage one which is build and push to artifacts. So as soon as the code is pushed in the repo, so build happen, and we push the artifacts to the Azure artifacts. Then it goes further to the dev environment, and for every environment we have two app services on which the code get deployed. One is CM and one is CD. So the code get deployed on CM and on CD. So a zip file is created as a code artifact, and it is further uh, uh, passed to the CD pipeline, which further deployed them to the Sitecore app services. So you can see we have two app services, CM and CD, for every environment. And for prod, we have two sets. One is blue and one is green for blue-green deployment. Uh, Next slide, Surendra. Okay, so Sitecore serialization is also a part which we can automate using the pipeline, and it can be decoupled with your code deployment. As Sitecore serialization is a part in which you uh, sync your content on your Sitecore from your local repo. So it can be decoupled from your code deployment, as it is not necessary that every time you have to deploy both code and content. So sometimes it's only some configuration and code changes which need to be deployed. So serialization pipeline, there is no need to run any serialization pipeline. And so it is better to decouple your serialization pipeline with the code deployment pipeline. So we can create a separate serialization pipeline. And as from Sitecore 10.3, Sitecore CLI is introduced for performing Sitecore serialization. Before that, we use Unicorn Sync, but from Sitecore 10.3, Sitecore CLI is introduced, and it is very pretty much easy to use. So you just need to set up a non-interactive login, which can be which is documented on the Sitecore website how you can configure it on your Sitecore instance. Once you configure the non-interactive login, you can store your credentials in the secret as a secret in your Azure DevOps, and you can use those secret in signing in your Sitecore instance. As soon as you sign in your Sitecore instance using the non-interactive login, then you can use the Sitecore set push command to serialize your content. So we have several command like Sitecore push for syncing the data and pull for there are separate commands. So and with these you can also use tags for according to your environment requirement, like in particular environment, like which type of content you are trying to sync, like. So you can customize that using the tags. So it is a very good technique to create your serialization pipeline separately from your code pipeline. Next, so how do we enable security in CI/CD pipeline? As we have discussed earlier, so there are several tools we have used in CI/CD, which we also known as DevSecOps. So it is a very important perspective to keep in mind the security while designing your CI/CD pipeline, as it is a major part and it is very crucial for your development as well. So as I discussed, we have used Git leaks, which is a tool which ensure there is no credential in your code, and so that it cannot be exposed to anyone. So it checks on whenever your pipeline run, it checks the if there is any credential leak in the code, and it can give an alert if there is any, and so that it can be fixed. And all the secret used in building backend front-end code should be fetched from Azure Key Vault or pipeline secret. So any keys or secrets that should not be hard-coded in the code and which are confidential can be stored in the Key Vault, and they can be fetched from the Key Vault in your pipeline and then can be used in your CI/CD pipeline. It is a very good technique. So, and Azure CI/CD also provide a method to store your secret in as a variable. So both method you can use whatever according to your requirement or whatever is your ease of using them. So it is a good technique to good practice to store your secrets in Key Vault or using pipeline secret. Then gripe and Trivi are the tools which can be used to check your Docker images vulnerability. So as soon as you build your Docker image, so gripe and Trivi can be configured in your pipelines to check any vulnerability which may be or present in your Docker image, so that it can be fixed. As you fetch Docker images, like the parent base images used from the public repository, so there might be a chance like some vulnerability can be come in your Docker images. So gripe or Trivi are the tools which scan your image and tell you if there is any vulnerability present in your images. Then SonarQube is another tool which helps to maintain your code quality, and it is very important to ensure your code quality from the initial phase of development, as well as there will be less overhead ahead, and otherwise there will be lots of things to fix after that. So it is a good practice to include SonarQube analysis or any code quality analysis as soon as you start your code development cycle. And lastly, the integration of OS ZAP proxy in CD pipelines is used for any identification and mitigation of the vulnerabilities which can be present in your site, which allow developers and tester to enhance the security of your overall site. So it is a very good practice to use any tool which follows the standard of OWASP, and it can help you to detect the vulnerabilities in your site, and which can be prevented using that tool. So these all are the steps which you can take to enhance security in your CI/CD pipeline and further enhance the security of your website overall. So yeah, these are the good practices we use in CI/CD from security perspective. So this is a disaster recovery setup. So what is a disaster recovery setup? As we have hosted our entire infrastructure on cloud. So cloud have a concept of region where in each region they have their data center. So there is a possibility like in some region the data center are gone down because of some disaster or anything which can be happened. So it is recommended that you host your infrastructure on at least two region. Maybe you can do that in more than two, but at least in two region which have the separate data center. So in any case the something happened to the data center of your region one, so that you can mitigate your you can migrate your traffic to the another region which you have set up as a disaster recovery. So the same the entire clone of the infrastructure is set up in separate region which is in the passive mode uh, till your region one is working. If something happens in your region one, then you up all your infrastructure of region 2, and you can divert all your traffic to that region. So whenever there is a code deployment happens, the latest code will also get deployed to the this second disaster setup as well, so that it has the latest code whatever is deployed on the region one. So this is how you can set up your disaster recovery, and it is an important concept which you have to keep in mind if you have hosted your infrastructure on the cloud platform. Yeah. Mm.
So next is the
Yes, Surendra.
database backup strategy. If I ask you that for your client, what is the most important thing into their into their environment? So it's not a front end, it's not a mobile app, it's not the tab apps that you are creating. It's the most important thing for any client is the data, and where data is reside, it's going to be in the database. So in our CMS based products as well, we are using SQL Server for to keep our content. So that is the most important for us. And how you can take the database backup while hosting all these environment. So there are multiple ways to do that. The first one is the Azure storage account. So the concept here is that in Sitecore, the most important database for us are the core, master, and web. And what we can do, we can create the Azure storage account, and within this Azure storage account, we can keep the daily backups onto this, and whenever we require it, we can restore it. So the idea is that you should keep the last 10 days of the database backup files. So every day you have to take the backup and keep it here. So this process you can automate it. You don't need to be a manual here, but restoration process, yeah, that's a manual one. So whenever you think that all right, my X environment is have some problem, so you can restore it with the latest available database backup file, and you can restore it. You can replace the old database file with this new one, change your connection string, and then you can restart the web app that you have. So this entire process take hardly, the restore process will take hardly 5 to 15 minutes, and then the whatever the last stage that you have, the last running stage that you get it on your application. So this is the one way to take the database backup. The second way is the Azure pipeline. So somebody have to trigger this pipeline, and within this pipeline, what you can do, you can write the Sitecore PowerShell script, and this PowerShell script will run inside the Sitecore. There you can specify to that script that what content tree that you need to be take a backup. For example, I have the maybe I have 5 website, and within that 5 website I just want the backup of one. So you can specify the path of that content. You can specify the media item for that particular website, and you can run your PowerShell. Then whenever you are running your PowerShell script, it will take the backup of all these one, and you can then make a zip file of this backup. And whenever you want to restore it, as this is just the package, so you can go there and you can just restore these packages the way you are installing your normal package. So again, this entire process will, the restore process will take 5 to 15 minutes. And the thing here is that you are writing it inside the Sitecore itself. So you can take the backup of into the Sitecore file structure itself. You don't need the external. So this is the another backup strategy. Now, the third one is the automated backup. So within the Azure itself, Azure provide the backup functionality. So you have to specify that which retention policy you want it here. Within this retention policy, you can specify that how old files you can keep it here. For example, 7 days or 15 days. So you can specify that till what the retention policy, and within this retention policy, you can specify the frequency as well, that how you want to take the backup here. What's the hourly plan that you have. So Azure will automatically take the backup here, and it will automatically retain your the database backup file that you have specified, and the old file that you is strategy. Mostly, as this is the by default provided Azure, so this is the best way to keep your SQL database backup here. And this is in the client head, so their IT team can go there at any time and they can restore this well. Yeah, Aparna.
Yeah. After provisioning the infrastructure, having your CI/CD in place, the one important step afterward is monitoring your environment, which is a very important step when you have your infrastructure on cloud. So monitoring the environment is very crucial for to keep your site up and running and to have zero downtime or to see any threat which can affect your site. So monitoring involve the monitoring of your infrastructure to see if like whenever you provision your resources on the Azure, so they have a fixed number of CPUs or memory you have allocated to them. So there is an option of scale up and scale down which is provided by any cloud. So by monitoring your infrastructure, you can see metrics like CPU usage or the memory usage, and according to that you can scale up your infrastructure if they are reaching on the threshold so that your site don't crash. So monitoring is very important uh, to keep your sites up and running. And second part of monitoring is monitoring your application. So in application monitoring, you can see the metrics like how many requests are coming per second on your site and how many requests are failing, how many requests are succeeded. So it is also a very important aspect of monitoring to monitor your application. So application insight, which is provided by Azure, only can be configured with your app service and other resources which collect logs from the resources, and you can see the metrics like I have mentioned: CPU usage, memory usage, failed request, etc., which can help you to mitigate any problem if you are seeing that. And for application monitoring, you can use the LStack, which is an open source tool, or you can use Dynatrace as well, which is a paid tool. So there are multiple tools available in the market for monitoring your application. So monitoring is very important, as important as your CI/CD pipeline. Monitoring setting up a good monitoring infrastructure for to monitor your resources and application is very crucial. Next slide. Yeah. So if we talk about future trends, we can see, or which we can uh, see upcoming in the future. So we can talk about Sitecore XM Cloud. So in this slide, we are talking about the PaaS solution, which is a Sitecore on platform as a service. But with the coming of Sitecore XM Cloud, it provides Sitecore as a SaaS, which is software as a service. So when to in this there is no extra uh, mm, like headache of maintaining your infra or seeing your infrastructure, monitoring your infrastructure. So if you use Sitecore XM Cloud, everything is managed by the Sitecore provider. So there is no overhead of infrastructure and in-house, and it provides in-house build and deployment capabilities as well. So there is no need to set up your CI/CD pipeline as well. So it so much of overhead from your to maintaining your infrastructure and CI/CD pipeline. Then implementation of GitOps, which is again a very uh, trending and buzzword for as it integrate your GitHub repository directly, version control system, maybe whatever it is, Git or Lab or whatever version system control you are using to directly your application development. So it is basically a concept which is used in the when you are using Kubernetes as your deployment, as your application deployer. So GitOps is also a very trending thing which we are seeing. Then ChatOps is also a very uh, trending thing which we can see, which is a collaborative tool, which DevOps environment where tool and teams can converse and uh, mitigate your issues and drive development process. So it is all like collaboration between the tools and which enhance your like your overall processes, development processes. Then AI ops is also like it's artificial intelligence is the buzzword, is the topmost buzzword which we all know in the IT operation. And so artificial intelligence can be used to automate many manual operation, day-to-day operation, which can be automated using AI. So AI ops can also help to detect any threat faster, solve it faster, and or it allows organization to increase the velocity of delivering the product to the market as much faster as of now. So AI can be a major game changer in the IT operations. Similarly, ML ops is also very trending. Like is it is a machine learning tools which also used to in automate, like predict. It is a prediction model which can help in monitoring, management, analysis, and it can also deal with the large data sets to detect very anomalies, or it can identify trends which can be used in uh, designing or in your any processes which you want to design for the future. So MLOps can also help organization a lot in reducing their manual task and hence improving the efficiency. So these are all are the future trend which we can see the which can be adopted very fast in the organization to improve their performance and efficiency.
So that's it from our side for this webinar. If you have any question, any queries, that we can discuss right now.
Hi, Surendra.
Hello.
Surendra, actually, you explained about the code and the front end, whatever we have for the pipeline, which we deployed in the any environment. And after that, you explained about the Sitecore CLI, where we can serialize our item. And you also recommend that we should create a separate pipeline for that, right? So why actually we are creating separate pipelines for that?
See, you have the two code base side. One is your front end, which you are writing it React or Next.js, and one your Visual Studio solution where you are creating any custom things, or your actual Sitecore serialization files are going to be on the Visual Studio side. That's where generally we are creating it. So because you have the two different solution, one is the front end solution, one is the back end solution. So you need the separate pipelines for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as I No, actually, when we serialize the Sitecore items, it will create a YML file. So, do we
Yeah.
also require to deploy those YML file? Means our Sitecore is in a cloud platform now.
See, think in this way. So let's suppose you are working, you got a one task, you have to create, you are working on the news module, and first you are going to create it uh, in your local development environment. And once your development is done, once you have done the testing, now you have to deploy it on the dev environment so that the others can check it, or maybe QA can check it. So how will you deploy it? So your code will go through the pipeline, but what about the Sitecore items? You cannot create the packages and you cannot install it there. So you need it something in the pipe. We can go it through the pipeline. So what you have to do, you have now serialize your site local Sitecore instance. You have to create the YML files. You have to move those YML files through the pipeline to those dev environment or QA environment, and that's where you have to push those YML files as items to those Sitecore instances, so that your items will be available here. Now your code is deployed, your Sitecore items are deployed. Once you publish it, it will be available on that CD environment as well. So that's why you need to keep right now you have tested it, but now you have to move it to the production. So how you can do it through the pipeline? So again, you need those YMLs.
Okay, I got it, Surendra. So it means we actually, as you explained, first for the code side means backend code, whatever we have written in Visual Studio. The second is for front end code and the serialized item, whatever we have serialized. Is it correct? I'm understanding.
Yeah, because whenever you are working on the Sitecore, I mean, in every project, you customize something. You have to write some pipelines. You have to write some custom things. At that time, we need a C# based solution as well, which is generally a Helix based structure that we are creating it. And within that Helix based structure, you are creating the module wise, and within that module wise folders, you are going to keep your packages and the YML files as well in form of YML files. Yeah. So that's why two different pipelines. Don't mix it with your front end technology, because you also think in this way that next.js code is going to be written by your front end developer. They don't know Sitecore, they don't have any idea about it. And Sitecore developers are working into the Visual Studio solution. If there is a full stack developer, in that case as well, try to keep two different solutions. Don't mix it with those one. So let's suppose tomorrow you have to create a one more website where now this is going to be in Angular and first was in the next.js. So how will you handle it? So that team, that front end team will be different right now. So that's why we cannot mix our YML files into the React code or into the front end technology side. So that's why keep different pipelines for them.
Okay, I'm clear from my side. Thank you, Surendra.
Okay. All right. It's exact 6 o'clock. So
Perfect.
okay,
All
thank you
right.
everybody for joining
Thank
us
you so
here.
much. Thank you,
And
Aparna and Surendra. Thank
Thank
you for
you.
taking the time. And thanks everyone for attending.